Josh Lamb says, Ethan, more Shanth Enjeti Cyberfrog art, please. Did you like that? A lot of people are getting Shanth Enjeti's trading card right now and thoroughly enjoying it. I mean, I'm hearing great things about Shanth. You know, if you like the Cyberfrog card that Shanth did, you should probably back his comic book, which is called Nosfero on Indiegogo. You'll get an entire book of his artwork. And like I said, I've heard nothing but good praise about his work. It is tremendous.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you? People always go on madness someplace. I hate to even think about it.
What is up, all you fine people? Welcome to the Waffle Lodge of Horror. I hope you guys are doing well. We have a great movie to talk with you guys about today. Let's see who we got in the chat, and let me see if I can add some visuals to what we're going to be talking about. So let me go into slides, and here you go. We are going to be talking about a Hammer production yet again today, and this one has got one of the most amazing Hammer horror titles. It could either be for a Hammer horror film or it could be for a metal album. You decide. It is Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. You don't get much better than that. So let's see who we've got in the chat. I do know that Sean Fair was here earlier, but in his neck of the woods, across the globe, it was bedtime, but he's going to catch it later. Thank you for stopping in. Past Master Dan, absolutely. I'll be sure to wear my extra absorbent depends. Always important. Let's see. There you go. Hey, Shanth in chat. My family's visiting, but we're discussing things. That's Cranberry Langers. Past Master Dan. So, yeah, it's good to see you guys. Stephen Rockwood is here. We've got Admiral Wackass is here. We have got, let's see who else we've got here. Lord Crackhead 33. Jeremy, how are you doing? And he's saying, what up, chat? And I say, hello, Jeremy, my man. It's good to see you. We've got Shadowhawk Talks. Hail Shanth and the Mother Lovin' chat. Indeed, that is so true. And thank you, Stephen Rockwood, for always dropping links to all of the different campaigns. You drop more links than Oscar Mayer, and that goes for Terror in the Trenches as well. Glad you guys are here. We have got Twirly Wolf here. Hail, hello, and ahoy. Indeed, you've got to speak to people in their regional language, and I think that is important to do. Let's see. John is here. Good to see you, John. I hope you're doing well, brother, and having a good one. Shadowhawk Talks is saying hello, 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 hello. Ellie Munoz is here. Legkick 1 is here. My goodness gracious. Look at all these fine people. And American Comics Company is here rounding things out. You're always in good company when American Comics Company is in the house. It is great to see you guys. We are going to be talking about a movie that it does not matter if you have seen it. And if you have seen it, do let us know in the chat. Hunch the Dirty Roofer, you are, the waffles. I got my, you do the waffles. I got my maple syrup. That sounds great. Where is your maple syrup from? We can start talking shop on that as well. And so today we're going to be talking about one of Hammer Horror's later films in 1974. One of their films that wasn't shot at their historic Bray Studios, but one that you guys will know a lot of the actors and characters in it from the standpoint that you've got David Prowse in this flick. And you've got, hold on a second. Wait 1 second. I'm realizing something. Hold on a dang second. Hold on a second. I just realized something. Hold on a minute. Oh, I feel old. I just realized I forgot to send Vaughn the link. Holy cow. So hang on. We were just talking about the show. And I did everything but send the link. What in the Sam Hill is going on? So Vaughn will probably be here in a second. My goodness. So hopefully he'll be here. Let me just double check. What's up, Metal Movies and Brewskis? It is good to see you. Yes, we have Vader and Admiral Tarkin in this film, and this is a couple of years before they would do Star Wars. And the thing that interests me the most about it is you're seeing a movie where, and I'm going to wait for Vaughn to get here to get into it, but it's beautiful. It's got great visuals and great action. And as we get in, yeah, justice for Vaughn. What the heck? You know, where's Vaughnster? This is terrible. This is terrible. He'll be here. So it's good to see all of you guys here. So just a quick look at the chat here. How many of you guys have seen this movie? How many of you guys know of said movie and what it entails? And yeah, let's see who's seen this movie, heard of this movie, knows something about this movie. Do let me know. And we will get rocking and a rolling. And let's see, anybody in the chat saying never seen it? Good. Yeah, I had not seen it before. I guess about a week ago. I was curious to check it out. Vaughn saw it for the first time today. And so, yeah, that is what it's all about. It's about checking these movies out. Hold on, let me just... I was doing so good remembering everything. And it is too funny. I have not, unfortunately. Listen, guys, if you haven't seen some of these Hammer movies, I've seen him in Vampire Circus. There you go. If you haven't seen any of these movies, you are in for a treat because we're going to be discussing them and showing them to you in a way that gives you something to look forward to this Halloween season, which I like to think that we're in already at this point. This movie's beautiful. I've got some great screen caps to show you the entire world. And more importantly, one of the things that I really love about this flick is my character from Nosfero the Crypt Walker, Laurel, the actress that was the inspiration for her, is in this movie. And she plays a character called Sarah, also known as Angel, and that in this asylum we're going to be talking about. But it's going to be a blast, and I'm really looking forward to this stuff. So let me see what screen caps. Did Shanth hire me? No, unfortunately, I did not hire Minnie. So I had to go and take care of these screen caps myself. But yeah, 39 days until Halloween, and we are very, very excited here. Screen caps, yeah, I wish. How many of you guys had a chance to check out our stream from the other night, which was crazy with Jericho Green, of course, my brother Gabe L-Type's channel. It was a great time, and we were talking about Batman 1989. And interestingly enough, there is a parallel, too, between Hammer Horror, of course, and Tim Burton, and that's where you see things like the Dracula cape coming up with Batman and all of that noise. So it's going to be, it's one of those movies that if you have not seen Hammer Horror, and a lot of us missed Hammer Horror, then you kind of have this treat that's awaiting you in terms of seeing things that influence so much of what you've seen that you didn't even realize was a huge influence for it. And you're going to see what an amazing actor, of course, Peter Cushing is when you watch these movies. You're going to see the great Christopher Lee, for those of you guys who are Lord of the Rings fans and fans of Christopher Lee in general, who had an incredible career. And yeah, we've got Justice for Vonster. I think he's trying to get things set up, I am certain, or grab a tea. You never know. So yeah, let me show you guys a couple of images here that will give you a sense of what we're doing. What's up, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969? Great to see you. So in this flick, it is, of course, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. And this is yet another one of those movies that's going to be starring Peter Cushing and then a young heartthrob character, Shane Bryant, as they were attempting to do things like pass the torch over to another younger actor. And so that was one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, because Peter Cushing, you may notice, is wearing an almost Beatles-esque wig. There, of course, is Madeline Smith. There are three Madelines in my life of great importance. There is Madeline Stowe from The Last of the Mohicans. There is Madeline Smith, of course, here, and then the character of Madeline Elster from Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. So Madelines are a good thing in this world. We've got a screenplay by John Elder, and of course, again, this is just like the previous film, although at Elstree Studios, where we all know Star Wars was filmed, directed by Terence Fisher. And so what's great about it is Vaughn has not seen this movie until today. I only saw it for the first time probably about a week ago. And so I think that that's going to make for an interesting sort of read on it, because we both love horror. We both love monsters. Both of our comics have that element to it. And so my hope is that it will lead to some fun conversation and discussions about this kind of stuff. So let's see where we are. Hold on a second here. All right. Let me see what else we've got going on here. Justice for Vaughn, indeed. Where is poor Vaughn? Now he's like, what am I doing? I've got other plans now, Shanth. That's the way it is. Let me see. Double checking. I know it makes for compelling TV. So here's the thing. While we're waiting for Vaughn to get in here, let me show you guys some of the things I'm working on so that it will help you to see sort of how this movie affects things. So let's do this. Art question is, oh my God, is Zentz Labs a known product? I'm going to ask Vaughn that. Vaughn knows what that is, I hope. Vaughn, you're in charge of this one. Hold on a second. Let me see. Let's see what I got here. Add to stream, and then let me do. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that look. Vaughn, of all the damn prep work I did for this stream, the one thing I failed to do was to send the damn invite link.
Prep is overrated, my friend.
Oh, dude, listen. Well, you'll thank me once we get those slides going.
Yeah, of course.
God almighty. So talk to them, those who have not seen it like we hadn't seen it up until about a month ago. Hold on, let me add to stream so people can see what we're talking about. And I'm going to make you answer this question because I think you might have more knowledge. Do you know what that question is about?
Is Zinth Labs a known product?
Do you know this product? I don't know it, so I don't.
What are you guys trying to sell me? Zinth Labs. What's it from?
Yeah, I don't know. So, John, we're going to have to let that hang in the air awkwardly. But, Vaughn, it is great to see.
Sounds like a pretty unknown product to me. Okay.
It does. There are known knowns and there are unknown knowns. So, I've been prepping for this stream. You and I have talked about this flick all day. One minor oversight. What can you do? T-Guy, good vibes, people are saying. Talk to me, Vaughn. What was
good vibes? This movie is so freaking amazing and needs to be watched by Frankenstein fans, young and old alike. It is somebody saying, you know, okay, first off, I need to ask you something. This is a 70s film, correct?
74, yeah.
74, that's what I thought. So what year was Young Frankenstein? Was that more of like a 77, 70, 76? 75 was because this is Young Frankenstein before Young Frankenstein. Same year.
74. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if he's that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't know if there was some cross ideas going here because it's kind of Young Frankenstein in a way.
Yes,
in a way, and it's also a what if instead of we put a maladjusted, messed up brain inside of a monstrous body. What if we put the brain of a gifted man, a brilliant doctor inside a body? And what if we gave that body the gifted hands of a craftsman and see what chaos, and then give him a caveman body and see what chaos ensues? That's what this movie is.
It's so funny because it is all right. Use mugs. What you got? What's up, Mighty Geek Studios? We have got what you see on the screen, Frankenstein and the monster from hell, fresh in our memories from watching it. And yeah, I got to tell you something. I've seen the first Peter Cushing Frankenstein flick, and he was an evil take on this character. In this one, he is almost like a more refined evil, but we start out with a character, Vaughn, that I wondered if on some level you were intrigued by and saw images of comics dancing in your head when we meet this young lad. And I'll get rolling into these slides so people can get a sense.
Yes. Classic Frankenstein tone set. Graveyard. Weirdo eating graves. Hells yeah, let's go. Get the mist, got it all. We have him delivering the weird guy. He's down on his, crazy, delivering body parts to a young, obsessed surgeon, obsessed with Frankenstein's work and the key to immortality, really, or just or healing the sick of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have, this is the new, fresh, young Frankenstein, and he's great. He's young and kind of cold, kind of calculated and cold, and just like, yeah, this is what must be done. So you get this very he's on the road to becoming the next Frankenstein from the beginning, and it's set up so great. He gets sent off to that mental asylum. But yeah,
after he gets busted,
this guy fingers him, and he's like, "Yeah, that's right. I've been delivering fingers to him." So he's got all these. I love this scene, where his little room has, he's got the book with Peter Cushing and Frankenstein. It's so great. And
you need that book, Vaughn?
The jars. Yes,
I need that book.
Big time.
I know. Come on, guys. It's got to be
beautiful
somewhere.
And then the most inept cop ever comes in and is like, he's like. Around, doesn't know that he's just standing right there by the curtain, and then he drops his eyeballs and he's like, "You shouldn't do that. You ruined my research." And he's like, "Oh, blimey, I forgot." He talks to him for a while before he's like, "Oh, what crimes I reckon. We're gonna take you in." So it's really awesome though, because it helps us get to know this crazy, very driven, mad, young, aspiring surgeon character. Dr. What's his name again?
Oh my gosh. It is.
It's not as memorable as the name Frankenstein.
It is not as memorable as the name Frankenstein, but it is. Let me look
Hill
at it here.
something?
Simon Helder. And, played by the great Shane Bryant, the young, I'm sure, heartthrob part of this. You know.
Yes, perfect. I loved him immediately. I was like, hell's yeah. Now, and so the question in your mind as you watch this story unfold is he going to become the next Frankenstein? Which is a great kind of tense question in the air as this story unfolds, because after he gets busted for this, instead of going, oh my God, like you're going away forever, they're like, yeah, you're going to the mental asylum, because this is kind of where we threw everybody back then, right?
Yeah.
And that's he kind of, I don't know, he's not happy about it, you know, but he's also kind of like looking forward to it in a weird way because he's kind of crazy too. I love this character.
He's really funny because the thing that the Frankenstein, Peter Cushing's character Frankenstein did, and he is a student. Dr. Helder is a student of his works. He has that book, which, by the way, I really need Hammer Horror to start publishing, or someone to get the rights to try to create facsimiles of this, like the Necronomicon, that people could have in their homes. I just think it's so great. I saw that jar of eyeballs and I thought I need to get some fake eyeballs and put that out for Halloween. That'd just be awesome. But he gets called to court. And this guy, here's the thing that him and Frankenstein have in common. He is obsessed with Frankenstein's work, and he wants to continue it. And he has a similar kind of narcissistic, I'm going to play God, and you people are too dumb to judge me attitude.
I'm above it.
And you could see that. Yeah, he's like, I'm above it. I'm a genius, and you people are too stupid, which does not fare well with that gentleman's wig. Or his friend's wigs. And so he gets sent off to this asylum. Now, these two cats who work there these cracked me up. The guy who's right here on the right side of the frame is actually the guy in the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock with the Hound of the Baskervilles. He's the doctor who runs the lab, who's the old friend as a young actor in 74, which blew me away. But this right here, I love it because he gives them a nice, hearty shove in the back once they get in to say, you're ours now. And
it's great. Yeah. Trying to take the piss out of him. Adolf Klaus.
Klaus.
El director. Yeah, man. Beautiful. My family made an appearance.
There you go, man.
I love this character, that Adolf Klaus character. He's a great actor, very well played. These two are kind of your idiots who still somehow run the joint, but albeit very poorly. They are cruel by nature. They're always grinning like dumbasses. Not in this shot, but usually there's like creepy smirk on their face because this is not a good. Obviously, it's not going to be a very pleasant mental asylum. I mean, straight up, they must have rented out a castle or a dungeon for it because fun times.
This was that change in Hammer where they had sold Bray Studios because that gave it all those films their smaller, quaint sort of appeal. And then they sold Bray, which is heartbreaking to watch people who had such fond memories of Bray. Like, there's a guy who was one of the production artists I think he was in his 80s, and he just breaks down going, I know that eventually things have to change, but something, just tears down. I was like, oh my goodness. But this is them. They moved to Elstree because they felt like their films right or wrong, they felt like their films looked too small. Critics started weighing in on it as epics started to become something that people were going for. And we can, argue whether that was good for Hammer as a brand in the long run to change something that was so, specific to them. But you're right, Ellie. Surprised by the production value. Hammer was a big company. At this point, they had linked up with other people, and now they were on Elstree Studios, where Star Wars would film. So they got a bit more expansive at this point. So, yeah.
It definitely shows. It's great. They did good things with it. And it never feels, you're right. It doesn't feel as quaint. I guess that's the word. Comes in on creepy, pervy headmaster looking at naughty imagery in a book and getting way too excited by it. He doesn't even notice that his newest patient has waltzed right into his office, which is kind of a great scene. Great scene. And so he gets to he's very you learn a lot about our new young Frankenstein as he goes. He weaseled his way into that office by knocking on the door as they pass by. And then when the headmaster said, "Come in," the two idiots, instead of just yanking him off, were like, "Well, the headmaster said come in, we better let you in." Like, he's clever. He gets what he wants out of people usually, you know?
He does.
And the headmaster is like, he's a drunk, he's a lech. You know, he's wide-eyed and kind of paranoid. It's great.
There was a term that I heard Ethan use the other day. Somebody in the chat might know it. That was a descriptor for someone who is oily. And let me tell you guys, this person is like, if you took, you know, Crisco and dipped it in butter. I mean, he is an oily character, you know, with all of the sort of trappings of a gentleman. And with this young character, the thing that's sort of interesting is that outside of grave robbing and outside of that whole thing, we know from previous movies, we know Frankenstein is willing to take, you know, help time along with getting rid of people. But he's harder to read because he's young, and he's also got this hero worship where Frankenstein would compare himself to God, you know, as his comparison. This cat is you know, comparing himself to Frankenstein. So it's you know, the moment when he realizes he's a patient. What fascinated me, Vaughn, and I want to know what you thought about this, was the disdain he had for him once he realized he was a patient, like one of those people.
Oh, yeah. He couldn't believe he had just walked in. I mean, the status switch in his mind is perfect because this actor's fantastic. Isn't he in Young Sherlock Holmes as one of the British guys that gets murdered?
Oh, my God. I think he might be. Holy cow.
He's fantastic. I love this guy.
He's great.
Anyway, he's wide-eyed and he's just slimy, and you just hate him, but you love watching him because he steals this. He's a good actor, man. You really he's shifty as it gets. And and our young Frankenstein guy, it's just so great to have that confrontation right away, right when he gets there. He's already like owning the headmaster. It just made me love the hero more, man.
Yeah, I don't want these crazy people seeing me looking at my book, dare I say. He's not reading it for the articles. And yeah, guys, please check out these links to Terror in the Trenches, Mighty Geek Studios YouTube channel. All you folks in here, it's great to see you, and thanks for dropping links. But guys, the beauty of this shot is like all the shots in this are so beautiful. Hail Dragon Pisces. It is great to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I love where we suddenly get to, let me just say this. Once he's found out, we then get to the people who he has tricked.
He's punished. Yeah.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes, man. There's like some rough stuff.
But I love this scene. It's so needed. I see where Rambo got the idea. It's awesome because our hero was being a little cocky and just waltzing into the office and outsmarting everyone at this point. We needed reality to set in and for him to get his ass whooped, or in this case, washed so hard, skin gets ripped right off. So it's pretty brutal scene, really.
Yeah.
You see how cruel everyone is and how insane the actual asylum is in this scene. All the crazies come out and cheer it on and say crazy stuff that's happening, like global warming is real and other crazy things, like you pay more taxes.
But this is something we were laughing about the other night on a stream. When people say that society hasn't come that far, let us not forget that such a thing as this and many of the things, you know, you see in another Hammer homage, Sleepy Hollow, were regular practice in handling things. And get behind the ears, says John. I think the ears are on the wall somewhere. And of course, oh my goodness, guys, what is the basis of Laurel? Who is the actress who inspires my character Laurel? There she is, the lovely Madeline Smith, and who has no lines. We'll get to that in a bit. Has no lines in this, but look at the lighting, the value. Look at the guy who's in the top left. The great faces in this. What do you think?
Definitely, the Hammer has always done less with more. I think that's the thing I don't think people realize about modern, current stuff. It's in stories and filmmaking. We used to have standards, even if the film wasn't the greatest, or didn't have the highest budget. There are these standards these filmmakers and storytellers kept themselves to, like just this type of lighting, these types of storytelling, classic storytelling elements that we don't see anymore. And it's why people are complaining about entertainment. Nobody cares about race. Are you kidding me? Yeah. 40 years of us being well over that, like since the 80s and every you know, and I grew a bunch of kids like us grew up on you know, Different Strokes and Cosby Show and stuff. But like but movies like this, I couldn't help but think, wow, like the beauty of this movie, it held itself to standards of art and storytelling that make for great shots. And this character, I love this for her because the first time we see her stand out from this crowd of ugliness. And while they're all laughing and enjoying it, she looks horrified. And it makes us immediately like her. We get into her and we see her as, you know, this pretty face who feels for our hero. There's a connect with no lines between them. That's it. That's all it's unreal. Her watching him suffer, man. It was great.
Yeah, she has one of those faces. And John, as far as the outer corners of her eyes lower than the inner,
does this the whole movie.
I know. She makes that and builds and builds. And this is the thing. Yeah. Her face, all I can tell you about, John, is it's a nightmare to paint. That's the biggest thing I can say, because she has got this. It's easy to look at actresses sometimes and think that that pretty is this generic term. That if you're painting somebody who's pretty, you reach into this little list of features. Yeah, put it together, but it's not true. There's so much range in quirkiness. Being an older character. You illustrate one character who's a certain age and they're supposed to be a fatherly character. The other character the same age might be an evil scientist. It all has to do. And sometimes a great actor like Peter Cushing can be both Van Helsing, as we saw, and the gentleman we're going to be introduced to shortly. It's incredible. And there he is again. That's our gentleman right there on the right side of frame in the front is the guy from the Hounds of the Baskervilles from the BBC Sherlock show. And when I saw him, I thought, my God, what a thing. And I mean this, and yes, John, she absolutely is. Agreed. And I will say this, that you see a lot of these British actors with amazing talent have long careers. I love to see character actors get long careers. Do you know what I mean? Where they're working, because there's so many great character actors. Hammer always had the hottest women.
It was a standard.
It
should be known, they should be known for that. That's awesome.
I think look at that face.
It's so refreshing to see a hot woman in a role and not just like another weird generic chick you see on the bus on the way to work, like they do for casting now.
I don't know. I disagree. What about Brie Larson? Hear me out, Vaughn.
Okay, let's hear this.
I can't finish it. My food came up.
I was like, all right, better be good. Indigestion.
And by the way, if you think Darth Vader's scary, this would be our introduction to Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, now going to be under another name, stopping, going, what goes on here? And you're like, oh, crap. It's like Dad just walked in.
And it's great because in this storyline, you think they said Frankenstein's dead, he's not, but when he comes in to them, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I swear, these stories, they really cared about plot that had those hard-hitting moments, man. And when he comes in, he just kind of does what Peter Cushing does. He owns the room. He coolly looks at everyone and calmly, in an accent that can convince you of pretty much anything. Says, right. Everyone go back to your rooms. Quietly now. Quietly. And you're like, oh my God, he just owned them. And you're like, wait a second. How the hell is Frankenstein running an asylum? How cool is this movie?
It is freaking crazy. And I have to say this too, and I want to read this quote this comment. Hail Timmy Mello, as always. Citizen Ronan, hail to you. It's great to see all of you guys. Thank you. Hit the like. Make sure you are commenting in the chat and sharing the stream out. But Dragon Pisces, I want to speak to this point. I'm just doing a drawing project for class, but tuned in because I need a break of the craziness of the world. You guys are very sane. Vaughn and I will gratefully accept that misrepresentation. Compared to the woke Joker is more sane than them. Well, here's the thing. My wife said to me, we talk about, dare I say, we do talk. It shocks people, I know. And we talk about a lot of the stuff going on in the world. And my wife goes, are you going to talk about any of that stuff on stream? And I said, no, because I think that people come to stream sometimes to get away from that. They come in here saturated You know, like a jar of eyeballs. I mean, sorry, let me rephrase that. They come in here saturated, and while the joy of Halloween horror is not nihilism. Yes. You know?
No, never. And that's why we got sick of people taking knees during our sporting events. We wanted a break. We didn't need to hear it talk about during the sporting event. Give us a breath. Hey, let's have some fun. And yeah, man, Halloween's in the air. Today it got cold and gray for the first time. Here. And I just hung out outside like most of the day, like, yes, calling to Halloween spirits. It's going to be great.
So it got cold in Oklahoma. It got cold here in Rhode Island. As far over as you can get, so perfect timing on
cold front. Halloween front coming in, guys. Perfect time to watch
it's Halloween.
You smell that ween on the air, man. Tricks and treats.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, Admiral Wack asks, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, we need it. Yeah. We need a break from the listen, guys, we're like sponges in terms of both positivity and negativity. And when that negativity sponge is filled, there's no point in trying to soak in more. It's done, tap out, find some great entertainment. That's what we try to provide here on, you know, this channel. That's what it's about. And when we do horror on the Waffle Lodge of Horror, the reason why the opening is designed to be fun. Are there problems with the show? Do people sometimes forget to send the invite link? You know what? Shit happens. But here's the thing to remember. Here's the thing to remember, right? And Admiral Wacka says, yo, Vaughn, too. Thanks, John. Citizen Ronan says, back in the late 70s, early 80s, when cable was young, they needed content. So besides Kung Fu theater, oh, God, I love Kung Fu theater.
They would show Kung Fu movies in the 80s as a kid.
The Hammer films, especially on the weekend. It was a glorious time. Yep.
I missed
chilly day. Yeah, so go ahead, man.
I missed Hammer horror as a little guy. I only caught it, like I said, in college when my horror buddy was like, well, you got to check out this. You got to check out this. And changed my life, you know, made me an immediate appreciator. And I still hadn't seen this one, and I loved it. This was so much more. This movie is more layered than people are going to realize. It is is Frankenstein's evil going to pass on to the next surgeon who thinks he's a god? And it explores all these other interesting things that we'll hit as we go. I'll talk about, but the idea that, if you wake up in a monster's body, what do you do? What do you do? You lose your sanity from it? Do you become the monster? It's great, man. There's so many questions that were in my mind by the time this was over. And I can't believe an old, what's a lot of people refer to as a cheesy horror film, and it's not. They totally are not giving it the proper analysis, but they do. They call it cheesy. And I'm like, this is more layered than anything I've seen in years, man. Yeah. I can't believe it. It's just so good. And Peter Cushing comes in, owns the room, and has this, and immediately kind of saves our hero a little bit, which is just mind-blowing for him. You're supposed to be dead, and you're my hero. Now you're saving me?
Yeah, that's basically like if you were a fan of an artist who passed away. It'd be like if Frank Frazetta showed up at my house. It's kind of like that. And I'll say, too, that there was this aesthetic they talked about a lot in terms of trying to create it called Hammerland, which was this creepy, gothic, but fun world where you felt like you were in a dream. And boy, does this create Hammerland.
Oh my God, I can't believe. Sometimes it didn't feel like a typical movie with a plot moving forward. It felt more like I was just there witnessing some events in this asylum with Frankenstein running the place somehow. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's so many questions about how is he alive? Why is he in this asylum? How is he running this asylum? We just met the headmaster. You know what I mean? How is he? How does everyone not going, oh my God, it's Frankenstein, get the torches and pitchforks? Like, this is incredible, guys.
Yeah,
this is an incredible movie. And I absolutely fell in love with the idea of young Frankenstein meeting his master in an asylum. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Great setting.
Yeah, and Citizen Ronan says, you watch this and it makes modern horror suck even more. I would say that we are going to succeed in entertainment provided, our success or failure is going to depend whether or not we do the work it takes to look at the old stuff and not believe that there's nothing back there worth learning from. I learned so much from things you guys talk to me about in the chat, things that we shoot the bull about. As I said, Vaughn and I had not seen this movie up until, for me, a week ago, and you today. and it was
I'm
out
mad
there
at
waiting
myself
for us.
I'm mad at myself for not knowing this existed, like, or hadn't seen this one yet.
You know who I
out of my
thought would
head.
like this?
Hmm.
The writer and creator of a book called Monster MD. I don't know if you know him, but I thought he would love this.
Who's that? Leighton Lawless, is that the guy?
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So when I saw the young Mad Doctor with the jars of shit, yes, of course I loved this. And it's just so clever the way they use the young Doctor to bring up the question again of, is it worth playing God? Should man be meddling? And the story just takes it further because now we're in an insane asylum, everybody, and we're using parts from insane people. Not necessarily insane brains. Actually, maybe, a little insane. Yeah.
They are harvesting for their needs. Both people running this asylum are harvesting these people in different ways for their needs. And Citizen Ronan, I have to tell you, that had to be an interesting age to see this. Citizen Ronan says, I was probably 8 or 9 years old when I first saw this back in the day, and I'm thinking, holy cow. And yes, Aaron Lepresti's Wraith of God, we have a link for that. And also Frog G's Voodoo, Gods, and Magic. There's a link for that as well, guys. Buy comics, love comics, and enjoy this stuff. We're here to have fun. So let's take a look, one more beautiful look. And we have to say this for your and my fellow Oklahoma brother, the great Michael King of the Choice Voice, because this is his hero. And he really gave me a deeper appreciation of this guy's acting chops. He's in his 60s at this point, and he does an action scene we'll get to where he could have broken his neck with the way he landed in that. And what a legend, man. What a legend.
Yep, absolute we didn't deserve him.
You're wrong, John. In today's world, an insane asylum where the sane people are now. No, this is actually, this place eventually became a college. All right, so Dragon Pisces, obviously not everything in the past was good, but if you don't acknowledge when the past gets it right and we move away from that, then it's like a father not acknowledging a son's hard work. I'm guessing it's is what you meant there. Today, or good work. Sorry, good work. There you go. Today, Twitter serves as our modern asylum. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Man, absolutely. It's the world we live in now is where they're trying to make our world the asylum. We used to just, if something was wrong with you, we used to just cart you away to the asylum like it was nothing. Now we've gone the other direction. We're like, you don't need an asylum. You need a parade. You need to be on the cover of Vanity Fair. So it's gotten really weird. Yes. Watching this made me think about that a little bit too. Yeah. So I'm loving this combination. We've got Peter Cushing, one of the cutest women you'll ever see in horror, let alone and Hammer and all of Hammer. And then, of course, our young, Frankenstein possible to be boy toy. And now the adventure, really kicks in, man. Because Frankenstein's tired and worn out and needs an assistant.
He needs an assistant. And let us also say this. Never forget this one thing, that entertainment really has not changed all that much. The fact that he needed to have his shirt taken off and be hosed down, yes, it served a plot point, but it also served an MCU level point. So, yes, that is what it is. Acknowledgement.
This stuff's being played in drive-ins. People love it. It's eye candy. It's all part of the aesthetic, man. Beautiful people in dark gothic situations. I mean, isn't that what you're paying for, right? I mean, this is part of what made this so good. Then you've got these two idiots. This guy didn't even wear a shirt to work today, okay? Because he was using the hose and he loves getting the flaunted or whatever. So Peter comes in and he's ready to give director Klaus the the ball bashing.
And director Klaus didn't, and just like these gentlemen, did not know he would be back so soon. And there's a link to Shadowhawk Talk's YouTube channel. And of course, yes, our director was busy with one of the patients whom he sees disgusting, apparently, but selectively, goes beyond his brief, should we say, or briefs, depending on how you want to say it. Absolutely.
We are way outside the bounds of ethics here, is what you're trying to say, Sean. And there's our look at this Austin. I don't know why I like this actor so much. I just the energy he brings is so frantic and good. Whereas Peter Cushing's cool, cut out of wood demeanor just clashes in such a brilliant way. These guys tear it up. And something I realized from their scenes together, how well people who work in theater can do, how much they bring to Hammer. The theatrical of it is so fun. And maybe I'm romanticizing it. I don't think so. I think it gives it that British Gothic distinguished edge that makes Hammer so wonderful. You know?
Yeah, and I think that this is the real trick, because I remember, you know, Ethan talks about this, about streams and everything like that, and he talks about how difficult it is for people to learn how to build a channel and then learn how to go on a channel and interact with people. Theater and movies is that times 1,000. Knowing when it's that actor's time to shine, knowing when it's this, and they all know it like a band, knowing whose turn it is to do a solo.
Right, like machine parts, knowing when to turn and when to wait your turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Grant, hello everyone. It's great to see you, Eric Grant. I hope you're doing well. Sisson Ronan, I once said to my friend who worked in a mental institution, what if those people are actually sane and we're the crazy ones? And I hope you got an answer back, because now that's going to haunt us all. But yeah, I mean, this dude was, you can see their back and forth. You asked for some medical supplies that are, you know, I'm not sure if we're going to get exotic, dare I say.
The state won't give us money for that.
And Peter Cushing saying, what if they were to know a little bit about your exciting book you have and what you do with the patients? And it's kind of like fair play.
Right. You started to figure out how Frankenstein has this guy by the balls, man.
Because he can't get past him. That's why he's
basically saying, you know, you're gonna need to do what I tell you, and unless you want me to let everyone know you're a creeper. And he's now Dr. Victor. And I love some of my favorite acting in this is when someone accidentally calls him Dr. Frankenstein or Baron. The look that Peter Cushing will give them without saying a word is so great and piercing. I love it. It's like he's like, you know my name. Peter Cushing's just able to do that with a look, though. It's just great. And then we've got our, you know, the girl healing the boy. It's more sensual, it's romantic, feel the connection immediately. But I don't know necessarily that they have a hot romance play out, do they? It's more of this is more of a monster
Florence
story.
Nightingale, right?
Florence Nightingale?
Yeah, kind of like that quality, right? Like that you fall in love with a character. She's a caregiver. Everybody will see this soon.
She feeds everybody. Her. She bandages. She looks at you with a dopey, scared expression.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
Absolutely.
I got to get me one of them.
Yeah, I mean, she's honestly, it's a very difficult thing to command a room without dialogue. I watched a horror movie recently that Michael had recommended of the Choice Voice. Or I think he had talked about it, or was it somebody else who had talked about it? Maybe he hasn't seen it yet, come to think of it. It was the movie Hush. Do you know the movie?
Yeah, we might have talked about that recently.
Maybe we did. You know, I'm at that point where Lord knows if I can remember. But
I talked highly of it, I think.
Yeah, her performance without dialogue, I mean, it's got to be difficult. You know, it's I can imagine.
She's beautiful, and I love her for being silent. I just do.
Yep.
I love, like, let's have a girl who doesn't talk every 5 seconds as a character. That's interesting. What makes her silent? Another mystery. That's what's so cool about this story, man. The questions that you keep asking that keep propelling the plot are awesome, and they do get paid off, man. This is screenwriting the way it used to be, where it clicked and clacked along at a good pace while still giving, while paying off things in a satisfying way, like a good deal, but also bringing new questions to the table. Why is she silent? What happened to her? You know, what happened? What's with Frankenstein wearing the gloves all the time? What's up with that? Like, it's just so cool and well done without any kind of special, you know, CGI nonsense. It's the thought of the situation and the characters and the story that the writer has brought to us with this. Whoever wrote this, man, they were having a blast with the Frankenstein.
The writer did such a great job with this. And I have to say that when I think about, you know, how do you get this? I mean, you know, it was produced obviously by Roy Skeggs, but it was written by John Elder, and I think John Elder wrote something that was beautifully operatic. And as I've said, guys, we are in the time of Halloween, and these movies, I can't overstate it, are like being inside of Halloween. And it was funny. We've talked before, Vaughn and I, about movies we haven't seen, and I am grateful for all of these movies that are in my future that I haven't seen, especially because I'm looking for entertaining things. But something I could definitely offer to actresses and also in terms of characters, even though in Nosfero the nightgowns are diaphanous, as they say. This character, sheer, dare we say? Yes.
Look at the curves, man.
Yeah, but she's covered from head to toe. But you know, hands, that's it. That's all in her face. That's all you're seeing. And she commands, she is beauty incarnate.
Look at the hips.
Yeah.
It's nice.
She's perfect in this role.
A lot of little Vaughns coming out of those. I know, man. Well done. Well done, hips.
Yeah. And you've got
she's a great actor. She uses her face to communicate her little feelings the whole time, and you really do get the feeling like her character's fragile in a realistic way. She's good. She's not just there to be pretty at all. That's not how Hammer rolls. They give you the candy, but the candy's interesting too, usually.
Yeah.
You know?
They give you that world, and with Peter Cushing, it's funny to see when it's almost like you know, when a little baby thug meets a real thug. Just to say, you know, he's thug. Like, I know who you are. You're Dr. Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein. He's like, yep. And
that's right,
he doesn't even care, man.
Yeah, man. The guy doesn't flinch, okay?
He's
seen stuff that you would not believe.
Yeah, he's like... he's Rutger Hauer, right? He's Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner. He's Brando in Apocalypse Now.
He's seen it. He's seen it with those cold, dead eyes. I love Peter Cushing. I mean, damn, man. You can't pay a surgeon for that kind of gaunt cheekbone action. That's a hero's gaunt. Okay?
It is.
That's hero's gaunt. And then, okay, now I love this. So now our hero has become his assistant. Why? Well, our doctor is kind of tired and wants to kind of test him and see him make the rounds. And while they're making the rounds, it's kind of montagey, which is lovely, but it's also revealing tons of awesome information about all these different crazy people that they have locked up. This brilliant man, he's a doctor himself, and he's obsessed with math and the beauty and the perfection and the poetry of it. He's actually very kind and gentle and kind of has a romantic side that is kind of tender that you didn't expect, and they kind of fall for him a little bit. And as he goes around, our doctor deals with these patients in front of Frankenstein, and he proves himself, you know.
Yeah.
Brick
and I think
by brick.
When you meet the people that we're introduced to, one of them is a very brilliant doctor who they explain he seems nice, seems perfectly healthy. They say that he attacked the head of the asylum violently, tried to kill him. That's why he's now in there essentially indefinitely, though he doesn't know it. But he's playing his violin. Again, very Sherlock Holmesy. He's playing his violin, and he says it's a composition he's written titled Angel for Her. We go to, you absolutely can see Laurel that shot, John. I'm glad to hear it, man. And American Comic Company's YouTube channel, check it out. But when she goes to the next person, he's a wood carving artist. He's made an angel. That is, of course, for Sarah, also known as Angel. Look at that face.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Come on now.
Very tender. Very tender. Very European. It's very European. I used to date European girls.
Madeline Smith, folks. And, of course,
I love
there's sadly a death at the asylum of our man the woodcarver that we just recently met.
Dude, the imagery that they're using is very simple, but you know what? You don't get that in movies anymore, man. Simple, repeating the angel and showing how the silent girl, just because of kindness, has warmed up even the darkest parts of this dungeon asylum. Pretty awesome.
It agreed. And I will say this too, guys.
Flower in the night.
This is sort of like I recently saw, I'm gonna try not to get into too much of this topic, but I saw two amazing women in law enforcement in a interview room that was, of course, filmed, and a gentleman.
That's how pornos start, man.
No, yeah, exactly. And a gentleman who thought he was just Mr. Charming fell into every trap of a silent woman going, "Oh, interesting," and spilled his guts. And if I could give any advice to the ladies who occasionally pop into these streams and watch our streams, it's this. If you want to know everything you need to know about a guy, sit back quietly, smile, nod, and he will spill his guts. It's one of those things. You will find out everything.
Pretend we're interesting for a minute. I know it'll be tough. Don't fall asleep. But
yeah, I mean,
it'll make us like you. Yeah. We pretend to be interested in you. You can pretend to be interested in us for 5 seconds. All right. We have to do it to you all all the time. Okay.
Yeah,
you're not that interesting, by the way. A lot of you.
This guy.
Not women are not interested. What? Yeah, I know. They aren't.
Yeah, but you know, it's interesting though when
you're that much going on.
When you look at this guy and you look at him in here, he's a baby face sort of character, but he's a fan, right? He's a fan of Frankenstein.
Yeah, like he's got that crazed determination though to like harvest organs in the night that's required though. So he's got that cold side that makes him kind of a badass. He's got some great lines, man.
I could shave his head.
Wasn't there another thing though? I wanted to mention this to make sure we didn't miss out on this one important part. Didn't they mention that the craftsman was, though he seemed right as rain, had an incident where he broke glass and he uses it to try to kill people and hurt them?
Oh yeah, that was the the violin player. It was him.
I thought he's
broke
the
glass and attacked the head of the.
Okay, I thought it was the craftsman who did it because later his hands are what.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, that was a whole different. Yeah. We needed some resources.
Maybe I'm. Well, no, I mean, it was the movie attaching itself to the idea that when your limb commits acts of evil, it can transfer over to the mind. Yeah. This movie's amazing like that. It deals with, what would I say? I guess. It's science fiction-y, but it's like those questions haven't we heard that story, right? Someone gets an arm from someone who used to be a murderer, and then the arms kill everybody and stuff. Like those questions are explored in this, so it's pretty cool.
They did their homework, man. I mean, you know, they were wrapped in Edgar Allan Poe. They were wrapped in so many of these things. And thank you, by the way. Let me just highlight John for a second here. Thank you for putting all the links out here. There's Irene's Irene Draws Fiendish Chapter 2, Lord Crackhead 33's YouTube channel. Of course, he is just doing amazing stuff and doing great. The channel is blown up. And of course, the Choice Voices YouTube channel. Yeah, and then Philosophical.
I don't want to say that. I was going to say metaphysical, but I don't think that's it either. It's
physiological?
No, I wanted to say... It just, I mean, if the idea that your cells and your DNA, because DNA is information, and the idea that your cells contain information that we don't even know about yet, because the DNA information is so tightly packed, there's so much of it. There's more data in DNA than there are like grains of sand and all the oceans, all the beaches of our planet. Like we can't measure it, right? So it's like, what's in there? And it makes you wonder, you know, is a killer's hand full of evil memories? Because in this movie, man, he gets killer's hands, and those hands go to work, baby. Right now, where we're at, he's our young Frankenstein. This is our killer. Our guy that he just met, now mysteriously dead with no hands. Embarrassing.
Questions abound.
Frankenstein, you can remend a man's nervous system, but you can't throw a funeral for a dude. Is that where we're at now, Frankenstein?
I'm telling you, man. That was the best thing, is the way he acts with such disdain when people screw up. He's trying to do his stuff, man.
I would hate to be his like grandson or kid and disappoint him, man. Like, I'm sorry, Peter Cushing.
Everybody always goes out of their way to say what a lovely man he is, and it cracks me up. Oh, here we go. Citizen Ronan's got it. Never steal cookies from Frankenstein's cookie jar. And that grave looks a little like a trench. Von Klaus's Terror in the Trenches, Volume 1. There's the link on Indiegogo, guys. Back it once, back it twice. That's how it works. Yeah, never steal cookies from that man. So we hear strange sounds, don't we, Vaughn, in the evening, and we go to investigate.
Wails like Sloth from Goonies in the night, needing a baby Ruth.
Exactly.
I swear, that's probably where they got the idea for that sloth scene in Goonies. Was this scene, and it was perfect. They come in,
it's crazy,
and her, she looks as concerned and somehow cute as ever. That's just her whole thing, concerned, cute, and yeah, they discover the horror, the secret room. He tricks her because that's his character. He's clever and tricky, and he tricks her and gets into the room, and he's like, "Oh my god!" He's just he knew this existed, and he's found it. You know what I mean? This is his big sign. I know you're up to no good, and I want in part. This is great. This is a fantastic scene, and of course, he can't find any monster though. Huh.
Yeah, Hail John, Grave, Crypt, Shanth Enjeti's Nosfero, the Crypt Walker. Yeah, I mean, he is, you've mentioned it really well there. He is smooth, and he is good at investigating things, like when he always thinks, and he's quite right, he's going to use his cunning to get away with things. And he is very cunning, and he's very astute, and I think that's something that is Frankenstein is a little bit more remote. He's a little bit more, I will overpower you by putting things in place. This guy kind of has to use his guile, you know, and his you know, personality in order to get places and to affect, you know, what he wants. And of course, unfortunately, if you go into his lab, Dad's coming home, and look out, folks.
Disapproving Cushing on the scene, kids. You can feel that. You can cut the air with that disapproval. But I almost felt like Frankenstein was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I can kind of use an assistant. It kind of works out in a way. He got
moxie, son.
Got over it pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, the kid's a surgeon. The kid obviously likes what he does. Why would he be mad about any of this? And then he reveals his hands aren't quite what they used to be, old Frankenstein. Yeah, he needs he has to have someone with gifted hands, tendons, and nerve
Admiral
tissue.
Was helping clients at the job, so he couldn't weigh in when we were talking about the hands and the knowledge. He said mimetic knowledge is knowledge transferred without direct genealogical roots. There you go. Interesting.
Nice.
And yeah, don't ever worry about if you're helping clients at your work. Thanks for listening and tuning in, Admiral. We appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, thanks. That's many 50-cent words, says John. Yeah, I need a dictionary. You guys are smarter and talking above my pay grade. And there we see what we are working on, man.
Oh my God. Fresh hands on a giant ape, an ape character that we had heard was dead. That was just a brain of primordial animal rage that had escaped, but then fell out of what? 3-story window or something? Maybe higher, and he
accidentally on purpose fell to his death, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy animal, right? And then now here he is with man hands and no eyes.
Yeah.
Because his eyeballs popped out when he landed. So this is a new monster.
Yeah.
This one's like caveman puberty monster.
And it's so crazy. Yeah. And a Citizen Run saying this makeup scared the living crap out of me. You're right. It is. Yeah. This to me felt, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what I loved about this flick, especially as the monster evolves, is it felt like it had a comic book quality to it. Do you know what I mean? Like this was a monster.
Yes. Exaggerated, cartoony, total monster. No shame. Look at this. See what happens when you do what I do for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's saying to him, he's like, there was sloppy work on the sewing of those hands. And, Frankenstein says, well, that was Sarah, Angel, who did that work. I can't because my hands in the previous movie, he was in a fire, are burned. Right. And I didn't go for the close-up of the hands shot because it was a little grotesque.
Oh, I thought it was awesome.
Oh, it is awesome. Well, we got to leave them something to discover.
Yeah.
And then
True,
another
true.
beautiful shot. This is what Vaughn and I have in our basements. If you come over, this is what you're gonna find. Those analyte fingers.
Caveman on a cot.
Oh, John, you're killing me, man. You know, but it's yeah. I mean, look at this, man. Look at the visuals, and then of course, we've just been given these eyes, and now we've got these great mirrors. Are a big thing in this flick. People looking into mirrors, and there you have, you know. I feel like I'm missing some slides, by the way.
I think is this after brain surgery?
This is after brain surgery, and I think I had a few more slides in there, so I don't know what happened there. But
no worries. But I see where you're coming, where we're at, because they discover him, and then it's time to get him a brain. And Dr. Frankenstein is kind of talking about our violinists being
how great it would be
brain around.
You know, I mean, God forbid, right?
He's a doctor,
something happens to him, and so he does.
And
something quite cruel.
Our young Frankenstein goes, yeah, but he's perfectly healthy. We're not gonna kill him, right? Frankenstein's like, do you think I would? He's like, no, I don't. And he's like, all right then. And the next day he's found hung from his own violin string in his cell. This movie is so poetic.
It is.
Hung by your own violin string. I mean, they trusted him with that violin to make beautiful music. They thought he wasn't on suicide at all. And then boom, he did it. And
they left him some info too.
Right? What led to that?
They left out paperwork for him to see that they were never going to let him out, that he was going to die in there. And then this is something that we do get to, we'll get to later, of why he's never being let out and why he attacked when he was this sweet old man who was probably there for a nervous breakdown, and then he attacked the head of the asylum, and then he was put in there longer. And so he is very loving, like many of these people, affectionate to Angel, like as a grandfather or a father figure would be. And so now he's seeing himself in the mirror and seeing her see him. Now she knows who he is, so she's in on this. She was helping with the procedure to save his brain. And you get this, I mean, heavens, look at that look. It's a great look.
Yeah, but it also, will drain your wallet,
And there's that shot.
Oh, yeah, you see a tear come down the monster's face when he sees the body he's in, and this was a character we only met briefly. He's somehow, but you like him, he's suddenly dead because of Frankenstein meddling and messing with him and turning the cranks on him. It's very evil. Now he's waking up, and who did those commercials with the cavemen?
Oh my god, was it Geico?
Was it a Geico? He's waking up in a Geico commercial gone terribly wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
And and a tear goes down his face when he sees himself. And from there on, his sanity, I mean, it's way out the door. And there's something weird going on that leads more to the mystery that Frankenstein's trying to figure out what's going on with the brain. Is the body going to reject it? Is, what's going on here? Why is he going this crazy? Because they're trying to get him to do math problems almost right out of the box, which actually is kind of smart because he loves math. It would calm him. It would make him work his brain. His brain that they just dropped into a skull and said, okay,
things go. Different medical, sanitary rules are there. But, I will say this too, is that I saw an interview with David Prowse talking about this film. And as we mentioned at the start of the show, of course, Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin from the original Star Wars movie. But he was also in this movie as Darth Vader. And he said, even though I'm most famous for being Darth Vader, this was my finest bit of performing. He said, I really felt like I was able to act in this suit. And you can feel it because he convinces us that this is the brain of this very gentle soul, which Prowse, by many accounts, was. When they asked him, can you play a monster? He goes, I do like to, chase around my nephews and nieces going, oh, I'm Uncle David, and this guy was, I met him at a convention once and was by all, accounts, a fairly gentle and kind soul. But this is where I think you see David Prowse in the tears, in the understanding what it's like, because, he's trapped in his roles and trapped in many of the things he did as this big, muscly, kind of imposing figure, which he's not, and that's what's so brilliant about it.
He's good. At first, when I first saw him, I was a bit critical of the kind of rubbery mask feel of his face, where you couldn't see his mouth move much. As the movie goes on and he gets the brain transplant, the mouth moving only a little bit and his face looking the way it did actually started to like grow on me. It started to make me feel like this was his face needed to not move and kind of remain in this horrible caveman state so that we can't humanize him too much.
Yes.
It had to be this monster from hell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is. This is Frankenstein's creation, and whoever wrote this was like, it has to outdo the original monster. We give him the brain of we give him the body of a Geico commercial, the brain of a brilliant doctor, violinist, and the hands of a craftsman who loves to break glass and shiv people. That's a monster from hell.
What's so interesting too is Frankenstein is interested in putting together this person based on physical attributes, whether it's the skill of the hand, it's the eyes, right? That's the new eyes that would allow this character to see, which you see that was the specific research of our young doctor here. You see all of these things. But the thing, and the intelligence, of course, of this person, but what he doesn't seem to grasp is what you were talking about with the body parts, and what I think does transcend the loss of skill, which is your disposition, your demeanor. And this is a very sensitive guy, who saw something horrific that led him to commit this act. He's in this and he's tired and he's hungry, and Frankenstein's treating him like an animal, essentially. You can eat when you do your work. I've put you in this body, and I mean, oh my gosh,
I mean, come on. He just woke up in a new body. It's a horrific body. Okay, and what do? Oh, here's your algebra. Like, are you nuts, Frankenstein?
I know.
This guy needs, like, some comfort, maybe a razor, maybe a little shave, maybe a shower, something. But no, you just gave him some drawstring pants and told him to be, like, freaking Goodwill Hunting and stuff. No presh. No presh. That is... Frankenstein doesn't care about you, man.
Yes.
Frankenstein cares about progress at any cost. He doesn't care. And here we are when our doctor stops doing math problems and starts making glass problems, man. Yeah. This is and right when I saw this, I thought it was brilliant the way they connected the whole breaking glass weapon and the way he picks this up and just goes to work. It's pretty intimidating. It's pretty scary, dude.
Yeah, awesome. That, by the way, looks like it could harm a car. It's such a large... It's like
it could. Glass becomes like a knife. It becomes like a blade, like a sword, and that's like many blades pointed right at you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And yes, guys, do check out all of the channels of the folks in the chat and all the fun stuff we're doing here. And let's always remember. Oh yeah, I love how they gave him a skull like DeVito. Yes, in Batman Returns. Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing too, is that we talk about Peter Cushing, the great Peter Cushing. And what an amazing actor he was in these Hammer films, as we saw last week or 2 weeks ago with our last show, our last episode, The Brides of Frankenstein. He's an action star. There's a scene in here which I think I have. Brides of Dracula. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Where he. Oh yes. You have to watch it for yourself. He jumps onto David Prowse's back, and he.
How tall is David, by the way?
I can't remember how tall David Prowse is. When I saw him, he was already using a cane or something, but he's big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He might be closer to 7.
Yeah, he was. Let's see how tall he is, because it's going to be in his. Because he was a body 6'6", and so he
6'6". Okay.
6'6". Peter Cushing, not a giant man, jumps on the back of him, and at one point in the scene, you can see that table in front of him. Puts his hand on the table to keep from going forward. He's 60 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Front over this guy's back.
This dude.
You fall head first off of a 6-foot tall person's back on a sound stage. and that ain't good. But Peter was committed, and they said when they were done with this scene, the crew just burst into applause. They just loved it.
Awesome.
You know, and that's great.
Just fantastic. Yeah. There's a lesson. There's that classic lesson, right?
Yep.
Right. We can't all be gods in our modern day Prometheus.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, go ahead.
Yeah, I love that these movies also wanted to have the action. When you get a Hammer horror film, you're getting a type of food, a dish. Yes. I look at it that has all these elements so tasty together, man. And for this film, Frankenstein, he's always, you know, causing horrible things to happen, but he's the first guy to deal with it.
Yeah.
He's the first guy to come in, and he's really good at dealing with it. He's breaking chemicals up in his coat and then putting them over his head like a boss to knock him out. And he does it pretty quick. I mean, it's pretty quick. This movie moves quick.
He's a man of action.
Yeah.
You know, at 60, he's spry. Let me tell you guys. Yeah.
I was wondering why they didn't strap his ass down a few more times, though. There's literally 2 times where he just gets up and roams, and they're acting all shocked and scared of him. And I'm like, maybe you should have kept him strapped down if you find him that scary, guys. Come on.
Yeah, no faith in their work that it would actually be able to be ambulatory. And here's a question from the chat here, and I have to say I do love this question. What would your mindset be? I mean, just putting it out there, if you woke up a monster, you know, in the body of a monster, that is a incredible question, right?
I mean, you want the monster's the ultimate outsider, man. And when you consider yourself that, it doesn't sound too bad being one. But at the same time, I mean, I think everyone else out there are monsters. I don't need to be like them. Monsters are winning. There's more of them than there are of just like the normal, decent people who give a damn anymore.
I think it all sort of speaks to the idea of how much we have invested in our outward appearance. And how much that is to us something that represents our inner selves. And you see people who are able to kind of transcend that. And I think in this case, the thing about it was this was beyond his control. He, you know, had basically in his mind taken a step that is the ultimate act of control in his mind, you know, that I'm able to. If I can't control anything else in my life, I can control this. And even that he now doesn't have control over. And he doesn't know how this body works. He's operating with his brain. When you think about this, how much of our actions and things we do are based with a knowledge of our strength, a knowledge of distance from our shoulders to our fingertips, reaching for things. He's now in a body that is not those things, that he's having to re-gauge. And
he's not at harmony with himself.
Yeah.
All his body parts are at odds. Yeah. His mind fighting the body of a maniacal caveman with the hands of a guy who loves to carve, but also loves to carve up people. So it's like he doesn't even talk about it. You know he's going through all of it as you connect the dots and the plot unfolds, right? Revealing more and more that these hands that he has matters. It's all connecting. So yeah, Frankenstein, for him, it's all new. He has no idea what's going on. He just slaps brains in people and sees if you could do math later. This is crazy.
He sees people as these biological resources for him to experiment with. It's so funny because we talk about this idea of objectification, which is object theory, has nothing to do with how it's used, by the way. But what I would say is that the depersonalization that is required for a surgeon to do their work, to work on, they can't think this is somebody's son, this is somebody's parent. They have to think this is what I need to get done to save this person's life. They have to approach it in that sense. And too much of the other would be bad for them, which is why
pragmatic.
They have to be pragmatic. And there's this joke about surgeons not having a great bedside manner, but I think most of us would prefer, if we have to choose, that they be great in the operating room if I have to pick between the two. But I do think it's something that is interesting. And so when you see this cat, you know, he's all like, he doesn't see anybody. He doesn't see people he's talking to the day before. Forget when they're under. He's just looking people up and down for resources he needs, whether it's this young aspiring doctor or any of his patients. And Citizen Ronan. The closest we probably have in life are people who survive horrific fires. I've known some people who've had that experience. Yeah, and good point, Ronan. Absolutely. 80s Made Consumers YouTube channel. So go ahead, Vaughn. Lead us on.
Well, Frankenstein has done it again. He made a monster and he can't control it. What would it do? And as this is going on, our young Frankenstein is seeing the real horror, man, of what is really going down in Frankenstein's asylum. Things are crazy, and they're totally at odds. It's great, man. They have some great scenes between them. Two ascots dueling. It's great. And little vests. They're like, it's amazing. And basically, he's starting to see more and more that Frankenstein is not like what he wants to become. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's gone too far. Yeah, so that's
and I will reveal
this
part as artfully as I can, which is to say, Frankenstein, decides and shares with his young doctor friend. He says, Dr. Helder, I think the problem is I'm trying to put all this stuff together. I think the thing we need to do, the next step, is to have this monster procreate. And the younger doctor is like, how? And he goes, the usual ways. And he says, with who? And he goes, with Sarah.
Your mom?
Yeah, no, seriously. It was like with Sarah. And he says, and he goes, Sarah. And he goes, but if you're looking for, because he's sort of shocked in general, but he goes, if you're looking for someone, but she's a mute. And he says, no, she's not actually mute. She had a traumatic shock that took away her voice. And again, I'll tiptoe this as best as I can, guys. But essentially, our lecherous, asylum runner, who is Sarah's father, attempted to do a particular thing that was witnessed by our violin-playing kind old man, which inspired him to try to invite him off the face of the earth with a broken bottle. And this is the moment where you realize it. And he says, why not confront it? Why not do something about it? And he says, the only thing that's going to help her voice potentially is another traumatic shock. And would you risk that? And so now there's this whole other layer to Frankenstein's. He's like, why haven't you told anybody? Why haven't you done anything? And this moment where he goes, you're insane. And then Peter Cushing cackles. And there you have it.
And it's incredible. Now the damsel is in distress. Okay. And I love how they treated the shock back then. They would just be like, you just need more shock on top of the shock to unshock the previous shock so that the new shock will get you talking again. I love Victorian medicine so much. I wish we would just bring it back, baby. So now we're going to get this monster laid, essentially. That's where we're at in this movie.
It is.
And there's no bottom to your barrel, you evil
monster
doctor.
Frankenstein's like, I will see your depravity and raise you. And
one angel.
So now when you see Angel, and you know what she's been through, and you know what the mind inside of this very large behemoth knows she's been through, that's starting to lay some groundwork for a very interesting film, ending, or I should say the drama is increased because he's this caring person who
protects her. He's
protects her before. He's protected her before, and for his troubles, he was put in an asylum without possibility of escape. He took his own life, and now he's been put into this body of this monster, and that is why when he saw the young doctor being near Angel, he freaked out, broke a glass, and tried to
protect her.
And you have it.
It's in one of the more horrific scenes that I thought was brilliant in this. Made me think was when he breaks out. He doesn't run away, guys. Our monster doesn't run away. He goes to the graveyard where his actual body was just buried, and he digs up his corpse and opens up the casket, and he sees his own corpse. And he doesn't really know what to do from there. I think he starts maybe digging up other bodies or something, or just going nuts. But it's like as if he wants to be back in his own body.
Yes.
It's so horrific and macabre.
It is.
And Victorian and Gothic. I love it.
Yeah, and it's so true. Yeah, the Doctor was more of a monster than his creation. What a story! And yes,
classic
is the
Frankenstein
factor.
story. Yeah,
Classic Frankenstein, and I think that the monster from hell is in this movie, as far as I'm concerned, although you can't market a movie this way, is that ambition, that monstrous ambition that drives both of these men to do the unthinkable, and even, well, we'll see how we go, but one has got more of a potential to perhaps pivot off of that. But man, I mean, once he comes in here and he realizes that is Frankenstein's aim, he's like, I've got to kill this thing because I don't want her to go through that, our younger Doctor. So he has a little bit of a conscience here.
This is where it's time for our hero to deviate from the plan. Nobody gets up in Silent Girl but me, okay? She can't consent, okay, bro, back off. I got a letter opener. So like he's gonna shiv prison in the night like any gentleman of that era would.
Well, you know what's interesting to me too about this, and here's a good one too. The reason why you could never make a movie like this today is because Hammer took these stories seriously with serious actors. They would never do that today. I agree 100%.
I would.
Some of it, that's the whole thing, right? It's fun. It's the money, it's the opportunity, it's all of that stuff, guys. We've talked about this before. Is that creating comics is very complicated. Telling stories is complicated. Film is, of course, layers upon layers of that. God. When you get up to the point to where you're painting and writing a story, the neural load of getting this thing together and getting it done, you see it with Ethan, you see it with everybody, who does that stuff. You and I have talked, although we won't talk in those terms, but we've talked about the intensity of trying to do both of those things. And what I thought was fascinating is they're asking this character who sees Angel, which I don't think would have ever happened anyway, but who sees Angel as this person he needs to care for and expecting that this is just going to be naturally something this character does. And as you pointed out, once he goes to the cemetery, you see what's in there. This is not a monster. And unfortunately for our young lad here, he wakes up before that knife gets to do its work.
They are so horrible to him, man.
They are awful.
It's just the worst. You really feel for the monster. He's really sporting that thick, dark eyeliner makeup that goths would adopt later in the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, real ahead of its time for a goth. But that's the goth look, right? It's Hammer. Yeah, that's what they do.
That's what.
But look at the mattress they have him on and the hay. Yeah. I mean, this guy's doing algebra that you guys could only dream of doing. All right, and here you guys are giving him these digs. Okay. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. He tried to shiv you with some glass earlier too. So
yeah, turnabout is fair play. But here's that great moment when she sees that moment where she comes into frame and she sees that he's in danger and the creatures grabbed him. She screams. And here's our trauma. She sees him in trouble and she screams.
If she loses him, she doesn't know what she'll do.
Exactly. And so then she starts to speak and says, let him go, and talk about a moment that is earned in that movie and well set up.
But it's not as good as you think, Shanth, because she doesn't have as many lines as the men, and that's wrong and a sign of an oppressive society.
Can I ask you a question? Did she ever have a scene where she talks to another woman character with a name that wasn't about another guy? Yeah. Although I will say,
why do we have to write every movie around you two women having conversations? That's like one of the lamest things to watch ever.
No, I think let me say this.
In life, I have to watch women have overly long conversations every day. I don't want to do it in movies either.
The secret, patriarchy indeed, and that's a better match than I'm on.
Look at those patriarchy plucked brows of hers.
Yeah, here's the secret, guys. Here's the secret to this. I 100% the making of a movie where there is only one male character and the male character only talks to another male character about girls he's interested in, provided that, like with all these movies, there are female characters in abundance who are all attractive and sexy and for the men to enjoy, because that is essentially what these movies were about. these movies, when people ask me, in Lawrence of Arabia, where were the female characters? I say there weren't female characters on the screen, but the women were in the audience. They were looking at these handsome movie stars. And when you see a movie like this, and you see the Hammer horror movies, I actually think, and that would be a really interesting thing to do, Vaughn, is to do a look for, because I know there are some, to find a Hammer horror movie where you have two Hammer female characters with names talking not about a man. I bet you Brides of the Brides
They
of
don't
Dracula.
need no man.
No, but don't you think in the Brides of Dracula, I'll bet you money that happened.
I bet that happened. It's really not that whole thing. Like all they do, that's just all made up to satisfy their mythical idea, like of oppressive, evil America or whatever. It's all lies. It's all just Gina Davis and her creepy feminist foundation counting lines. That's all nonsense. That's not how stories are done. You don't weigh out. That's not how it works. That's not equality. That's just insane. People are demented. Anyway, so he comes in to give her the eyebrows and the eyes in this relationship.
Yeah,
and you know, it's there. I love this movie. Without them kissing, I don't think they kiss or have any kind of big embrace.
I don't think
there's such a romantic connection between these two characters that feels pretty legit. When she screams when she sees him almost killed, I mean, and she speaks, she's like, "Let him go." It was a great heroic moment for this character. It was also kind of solidified the bond between them.
Okay,
so
yeah, I think the bond is there, and when you look at this stuff too, you've got the asylum is falling on crazy times because of course, our monster has escaped.
Can't say crazy.
Yeah, can't say crazy. And after his exploration and seeing his own body and coming to grips with that, he of course has a memory of something he really must do.
Yes.
And that is to go visit
unfinished business.
This
is why we love Frankenstein movies, because the monster gets brutal revenge on one slimy eel of a human being, and it's this guy, and he's just glistening with guilt and sin. In fact, he had to send away his hooker that he had brought in for the evening before our monster comes in heroically through the window. Like Errol Flynn on steroids.
Yeah, Errol Flynn on a few things.
And on a lot of testosterone. And
right, he looks down on him, and the guy's on the ground, terrified. This monster that he thinks is dead, and now has got many different things going for him. And he looks down and he says, "Angel," and you know what he's talking about, and so does that poor gentleman on the ground. He will be missed. And so after
then he breaks glass.
He breaks glass and he
gets
it done.
With the glass. He just gives him the big, it's very quick, but yes, brilliant
stuff.
I mean,
this is Hunchback of Notre Dame, in terms of his character. There's so much of that classic horror in here. Vengeance. And we love it, man. We love it. This is the stuff we live for. And so then, of course, unfortunately, as he makes his rounds, these two idiots, man, they got to bring him down now. He's got to be taken out. He's just, taken out, the head of the asylum. And as he's being, shot to pieces, he has this tender moment reaching out with his bloody hand. It's not even, none of these parts. This guy's like a Lego set. Reaching out to Angel, and you can see Angel's empathy. She knows who's in there. She knows who's in there. And unfortunately, the folks of the asylum, go after
the
him.
World is cruel, everybody, and you could be a monster having the most tender moment that should just warm their hearts, but it doesn't. Someone yells, "He's trying to hurt her." And they mob him, with their creepy old lady teeth and hands, and try to tear him to this Prometheus, this modern day Prometheus. They tear him asunder, man. They tear him to pieces. To be torn up. Whoever wrote this was just licking their lips at the poetry that was in the layers, because to have the monster torn up by crazies and mad crazies at the end. I mean, it's just. Yeah, it's such a. He's saying society's failing us, basically. He's saying that there's no place for the just, you know. It's a very like evil wins kind of movie, but that's what Frankenstein's story is, isn't it? Kind of. It's this darkness never really truly leaves man's pursuit of immortality and greatness.
Yeah, and knowing everything you've seen in this movie, it's got one of the all-time great ending wrap-ups, which is like, well, shit, but when you think about it, Frankenstein's essentially, that's the best thing that could have happened for him. But we start again. Like no harm, no foul. And the three of them are basically like, I guess so. And you think, you know,
that's amazing. That ending's amazing because they could have had it be like the monster kills Frankenstein, they fall into a fiery pit, whatever. But instead, Frankenstein's like, well, we learned from that, didn't we? There's much work to be done, and he's kind of pumped for the next one.
Yeah, he basically what he's saying is, he goes, this time we're going to get Marxism right. It's never really been tried.
And our blonde hero's like, for real? You're going to do this again? He just kind of says it. And then we kind of roll the credits in this way that's very, what is going to happen? What does the future hold? But also, yes, of course, the man's pursuit of becoming God is a never-ending shadow within all our hearts, I think. It's just part of being a man. I think it's something to learn from. So but it's cool. They let Frankenstein, you know, he's all right. He's okay. And he's just ready to keep going to work in this madhouse. And you really wonder what's going to become of this young couple. They're probably gonna have to run for it, man.
They may have to make a break for it. And I will say too, you know, you look at the films like this and you look at these stories. These are unbelievably, you know, timeless stories. And these are adventure stories. These are horror stories, but these are stories that make you think. And what I love about, you know, the canonical texts, as Jordan Peterson would say, is that the reason why they're canonical is because they last over time. I saw elements of The Hunchback of Notre Dame in this. I saw elements of so many of the great movies. But it's really putting everything together. It's the sets. It's the environments. I mean, guys, when I look at Hammer horror and I look at what I love about this kind of gothic horror and when I'm painting, the thing I think about is I've got to make it so, like, I'll give you an example of a panel that's not done, but I'm looking forward to getting it done. I love painting the stone in this. Let's see where I am right here. Is it right here? Yeah, there we go. I love painting the stone in this. However, that stone needs to be wet. It needs to have those highlights on it that we know from the gothic interiors of Hammer horror films. Because the second we see that stuff, it's bigger than just an aesthetic. It puts us into a different frame of mind. And I love the idea that I think that you've dealt with. I've done in my story, it's much more about you know, monsters being created by people, but I would believe it is in Monster MD, if I'm not totally mistaken, right? We've got an arm that's sewn onto us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Dr. Black has the what is he? Does he call it the corpse arm? Or it's basically an undead arm. It's the arm of his revenant friend, Annie. And wait, was it Annie?
You better know this.
Anyway, I know, right? Her name was Ingrid. Anyway, so it's called Ingrid's Arm also in the lore. Ingrid's Arm. I think that's a cool name. But it's man. This revenant's arm has been infected with lycanthropy and vampirism, and so it has some abilities, you know. And it helps him keep on doing his surgery thing on the monsters and being a good doctor. So that's pretty cool.
And that's why when I saw this, and that was a thing that is always so fun about this stuff, is that when it comes to movies, when it comes to monsters, when it comes to the love of horror, we're fortunate that so much has been made in this genre over a long period of time. That there's new things to experience, that you don't have to be frustrated by the current entertainment. There are new gems that are waiting to be discovered all the time, man.
The old is the new?
Yes.
Old is the new, guys. I'm seriously, like, it's not It's like going and getting real food as opposed to just living off of Pop-Tarts all day, which I wish I could do, but I'm not able. My body won't. No, it won't allow. But you have to go get real calories and real food, man, real meat and potatoes, because these stories, people, at least they held it. They wanted to tell great stories. They didn't just want to dazzle you with whatever actors or what cutesy one-liners or whatever visual effects they could use that distract you from the just absolute hollow, soulless content. The more they've politicized our arts, the more soulless they've become. Looking to the past to get that same nourishment you were used to is totally awesome. It's great that it's there. It's great that there's so much, like you said.
Yeah, I mean,
at the same time, there's not that much in the scheme of things. Because like anything in life, there's a few winners and a whole lot of losers, right? In every situation that nature gives us. So there are gems, but there's a lot of bad stuff too. But at the same time, movies are not a very old art.
Yeah.
They're not. You know what I mean?
Sturgeon's Law, right?
That's always, there should be, and horror, there's new cool things happening all the time, I think. Compared to other genres, horror is the one that does new, cool, weird, crazy things. Absolutely. You know what I mean? More than others don't. Anyway.
Well, you remember Sturgeon's Law, right? The science fiction author had that great response. Some journalist was asking him about science fiction and said, but as a science fiction author, sir, you will admit that 90% of science fiction is crap. And in one of the best responses of all time, he said, yes. But think about it, 90% of everything is crap. Yeah. And it was one of those what a sound mind could there be the best? To. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it made me laugh.
Like, yeah, like what genre or what, I don't know. Yeah, what can be all good? That's just not how it works. The cream rises to the top, my friends.
And the thing about it too is, really good quote from the writer, I think co-producer and co-creator of the show Yellowstone, who I've been fascinated by him lately, Sheridan, and he said something that was really kind of interesting. He said that he goes, "You will never see a 20-year success story in Hollywood." He goes, you won't. You don't see people bang their head against the wall in Hollywood for 20 years and then finally make it after 20 years. He goes, you might see someone get bigger suddenly, but they're in it. And he goes, because the great thing about Hollywood is if you listen to it, it will tell you what you're supposed to be doing, even if it's not being in Hollywood. And he said, I tried to be an actor. I was always going to be, I was never going to be the first person or first couple people on the call sheet. And one day somebody asked me if I could do some writing. And I said, I don't have any experience writing scripts, but I have a lot of experience with what not to do. Sat down, wrote his first script that became, I forget which one was Sicario, but he started writing a whole bunch of scripts. And now he has, I think, 8 shows going. And he has got the most watched show on network, or I should say on broadcast television. And it's Taylor. I know I keep getting it wrong. Taylor Sheridan. It's like, what am I going to do here? And but it's an interesting thing because with comics, with all of this stuff, I think Ethan might have even been saying this the other day, there really is no such thing as, because I've done comic jobs, I've tried, to do various things, and I've pursued other things, but there hasn't been, when the moment is right and you do your work and you put it out there and you find your audience, people see it, and that's the time. So there's a lot of work that goes into everything you see, but it's not as linear. And the thing that YouTube has really taught me, and working with and streaming with people like, I think of Gabe and Jericho, who have way bigger channels than I have in that sense, I learn a lot from them because they're you can't fake having what I've learned from watching them is that one of the best resources you can have is experience and wisdom from, experience is what you get when you didn't get what you were trying for. And you can't fake having experience. So if I had to make up a script while I was painting, no way I could have that much neural power to be a persona while painting. No chance. So that's what makes it possible. And when we're talking off the cuff about horror movies, if you don't like it, if you're not into this kind of stuff, it's going to show. You know, if you don't know comics, it's going to show. If you don't know, so it's a strange thing, but the only thing I think you can really put out there and bring forward is those things about yourself that you've built over time. You know, anything that can be done by a phone isn't something you can make money off of. You know, any information somebody could Google is not going to give you something that is you can take to market because they have it too. And so what makes somebody want to create a character that has an arm transplant and then gets the wherewithal? I don't know. But apparently, it's something that's important to a lot of people telling stories. These are your people, you know?
Telling stories gives me time to work out my shit, too. And telling stories makes it... It's a craft that satisfies me. Like, it makes me... It satisfies something personally for me, while at the same time entertaining you makes me happy as well. Like, I want people to be entertained. I can't get my stories out fast enough. That's why I'm starting to draw my own at this point. Like, I'm kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I got to get them out. They're itching to get out of my brain. So I'm, you know, it's an obsession when you get really into the craft, man. And I think I see what you're saying about drawing and needing to divide up your energy, because I couldn't. I mean, when I'm drawing, I have to focus on drawing. When I'm writing, I have to focus on writing. I can't just do both. Like, you need a different day for both. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's and the only people
of focus.
Yeah, they are, and I think the people I watch that make the most sense to me is when Ethan's talking about writing, where he's like, all right, I know what the scenes look like, I know what this is. Now I've got to figure out where the word bubbles are going to go, and I'm plotting this thing out. That's a huge part of what I'm doing right now on Nosfero. And when I think about this sort of stuff, it's the stuff I listen to, the stuff that inspires me. And thank you guys for putting links to me and Vaughn's Twitter here and the YouTube channels. We appreciate it, guys. There's, of course, my Instagram and then Klaus's Instagram, my brother. And it's one of those things where I think that you will know if you should be doing this stuff. You know, it's like you will know. And I think that the biggest thing that Comicsgate has given us, and the biggest way in which it's liberated us, is everybody is responsible for their own stuff. Everybody, Anna came into commented in my stream with some really great, with just actually, it was sort of like Anna came in and just sort of like threw it down on the table, which was great, which was, we were talking about, having, guests on and doing all these different things and streams. And Anna just was like, you got to build your own channel. Now, I don't know how long Anna's been on YouTube or streaming. I remember her from the Star Wars days. Do you know how long Anna's been on YouTube?
No,
I don't know either. She was, I mean, I know it's been a while, but she goes, you've got to build your own channel. And it was so funny because I thought, what's cool about that is the A/B testing aspect of it, right? Like, you build your channel and you figure out what happens. You write your comic book and you see what happens. You got to make your own book. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there are things you've learned in the process of making your books as opposed to, talking about what this person could do. Do you know what I mean? With their book, that it's a different process than the abstract of it. Would you say? Like printers and artists and colorists, and then
what was the topic? What are you talking about?
Oh,
I know how to make a comic book, man.
Yeah,
when you make your own stuff, it's empowering, it's exhausting at the same time. So
yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying. It's the act of when your boy Zach was told, make your own comic if you've got so many opinions. One, people were shocked when he went and did it. But it's a different view of it when you're a comic creator and you're putting the stuff together. People, when you make a book, I would encourage anybody who's interested in making, starting YouTube channels. We've seen a lot of YouTube channels, in the comments, which is what got me thinking about this, is that you really appreciate seeing YouTubers, whether it's people like Nick Rekieta or Jericho Green or some of these folks, who can fire up a stream, talk on their way to work, and 300,000 people are like, I want to hear what this person says. Razor Fist, who I think we've talked about.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I could pursue that more. I could put myself out there and do that more too. I want to. Like it's something I'm trying to build myself to. I think it's really cool that they're able to build that and have that voice. It's just it takes a lot of dedication and work. It's very admirable.
It's nerve-wracking.
But it's so much work for people like you and me who try to put our energy into the art part. So it's like you have to respect your RPG character a little bit and try to put some points into YouTube, man, because you can't just. It sucks that it's like that, dude. I mean, it's just the way it is, though. You got to grind in your own way these days because think of YouTube as doing it as like, even though you can do it to where you're just making money off having fun, you know, on streams with awesome fans. That's one of the benefits. But think of it as also paying your way to be able to do the art you want for a living. It's kind of a toll you pay to be able to connect. It shouldn't be a toll, though, because you're getting to connect with your audience, which is beneficial. This is new. This is unlike anything that's happened in human history before, where like the celebrity, or if you want to call them that, you call them the artist. I would rather call them the artist, connects with their fans in a new, exciting way that can be either good or really bad. We've seen really bad, and it helped inspire Comicsgate. Well, and it showed us, you know, that we need to clean up how we deal with fans in comics, or just and in general, because these assholes, they politicize everything and turned it into a war, you know, and that's part of what's Comicsgate so awesome for doing, where we are standing up to this darkness they brought in comics. They came in swinging, man, with their mythos about, you know, this other America they're trying to sell you that's not real. That's the America of oppression. And all it is, and their whole belief is fight, 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 because that's all they believe in. Go to the Instagram of the Democrats and tell me what the first word in their bio is. It's fighting, okay? It's fighting.
I will say this too.
That's all they do.
Because I am being judged in the chat. Admiral Wackass says having a juicy ass and tits doesn't hurt either. And I want to state for the record that. So I guess I'm all right. And look at this. Anna started her channel after the second movie and the sequel trilogy, or maybe the first. And then Citizen Ronan coming to my defense. Are you saying Shanth doesn't have the first part? I would agree. Thank you for coming to my defense. Very chivalrous. And I will say this too. As great as that sounds, you know, and I know we all talk about this whole thing, is that I can always only speak for myself when I think about my strategy. I see this YouTube thing as totally connected to the process of making my artwork in the mail-in method, right? This is my job. My job is to get eyes on the work, is to get people here. And that's why, you know, I put so much into, you know, the thumbnails, apparently not sending out the invite link, but everything else. Doing all of those videos.
Wow, you're never going to forget to send an invite link ever.
Well, you know, it's so funny, right? And that speaks to it. So how much time did I spend prepping for this stream today? I would say 5.5 hours of work.
Fantastic.
Yes. 5.5 hours of work.
This is a dedicated, guys, you need to subscribe and spread the word.
That is
Shanth. Shanth is a horror fan unlike any other. I mean, these are like what you're sitting in on here. These are college level classes in horror for free. So, Sean, thanks for letting me do this with you. I'm having a blast. And,
oh, man.
Thank you for being awesome and dedicating 5 hours. I know I'm surprised, to be honest. I'm surprised because you have so much. You're putting so much into your art and your drawing. I'm surprised you have time and energy for that. Yeah, but you do it. You find
part and parcel. These guys' time. If it's 10 people or if it's 40 people watching a stream, and I can't fathom what it'd be like if it gets to be more than that, but. You know, I would say just move forward and proceed with the work ethic of it all. But this is the thing for me, man, is that I want to make stuff that is as quality as I can possibly make it. And I will say the thing that will always drive people crazy about the attractiveness, and we all know Anna's a great sport but it's and all that stuff. And she's got, you know, her painting ability. But what will keep people up at night, whether it's in comics, whether it's in YouTube success, whether you are a very attractive woman, if you're a skilled painter, if you're both, if you're neither, it doesn't matter. People will look and you will see someone who is just as attractive or to some eyes more attractive as somebody else. And they will say the thing that happens in acting all the time. What does she have that I don't have? You will look at two artists and say, I still remember people still talk about what did Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane have? They couldn't even draw well. that I didn't have. They're making
Are you
millions. Yep. People
They
always say
knew,
that.
dude, there's something. Okay, you know this, but I'm going to say it for our audience here.
Yeah.
I'm started drawing my own book, and now I get why all you artists are tired and grumpy all the time. But here's the thing. As I draw it, I start to think about, like, I'm definitely no pro, first of all. But, dude, I know how to make things look cool. And when you hear Todd McFarlane talk and Rob Liefeld talk, they talk about things being cool. They don't know exactly how to describe it, but they know how to make it appear on the page and sell comic books like no other. And that's because it's more than just everything in art and life and is more than just technicalities. It's understanding craft so well that you know how to hit people hard with it. And Rob Liefeld knew how to do that at age, what, 17, 18. So, yes. I mean, it takes more than skill at cross-hatching and knowing, you know, perspective. You learn your basics, as they call them, or essentials, or whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then you learn how to use those essentials to make striking imagery. Now, the thing they don't tell you is that knowing striking imagery that's like a craft and understanding onto itself. Like, you have to go to school for that too. Yeah. That's why I was kind of happy I had some time to learn story. I was still practicing drawing, and I drew a few comics while in college, but I really dug into screenwriting story and just like learned to love and appreciate it. And that is a lesson unto itself that people do not get taught, man. Or if you do it enough by drawing comics, though, you'll learn it over time. Like, that's why Ethan, for instance, is becoming a good writer at a very quick rate. Not only is he just very dedicated and focused on being a better writer, you can tell his experience, his immense experience in storytelling and working with some of these great writers. You know, something has rubbed off, and he's catching on and he's figuring it out.
Oh my God.
So it's like so that's how he's becoming a good writer fast. But a lot of us don't have that awesome over 20 years of experience under our belt. So you yourself should really, take time not just to draw, but also learn story, study screenplays, read good screenplays.
Well, that's the good thing, man.
Structure, stuff like that.
I've had, decades of studying all of that stuff and writing, and I write for recreation. I write pulp novels. No one's seen them yet, but write all kind. Well, my wife has seen them, and then my friend whose wife is an editor has seen it. But it's we look at this stuff.
That is so cool.
I want you guys to know this. This is a big thing.
Okay.
Bob Ross had it right. And whenever you guys see me painting and drawing, I will tell you this. I'm the least grumpy artist. I love streaming and talking to you guys while I paint. And I love making this work. The only thing I've ever not enjoyed about it was the being in the environments that attempt to politicize what you do and attempt to make a moral judgment on what you're doing based on an ideology that is not what you do. And I've always said that it's a strange thing when people try to teach you how to make originality. I don't know how to fake it. My buddy, the groomsman who came on that stream, I guess it was maybe a week ago, it was really crazy to see somebody who's known me since 1994 describe me. And he said he's got no quit, and what you see in these streams is what you get. It's absolutely, there's no difference between what it was like sitting in his room in college going through art books. You guys are having that experience. And I love this stuff because,
that's the way.
How do I put it? I'm every single day when I sit down to work, I am absolutely grateful for the time I have. And everything I do has to be something that builds towards resources for my family that I believe in, that I think is something good, fun, exciting, and entertaining for you guys, great escapism. And I see it as, if I do my job and I do my job well, you guys are sending me, and this is not a guilt thing, let me be clear, you guys have been sending me super chats during those paint streams, and when I see 30 or 40 people watching and checking it out, it is fantastic.
That's amazing. Well done.
But it's all part of the job. It's not just the acting, it's the going to all and doing all the press that actors have to do. It's all that stuff. And I'm probably, my teaching helped me. With the commute, lesson plans, going into a classroom, performing, looking at homework, going through things, reaching out.
Oh, wow. Are you going to start handing out homework?
No, I will, guys. Every day I have
Shanth's
that
homework
brief
assignments.
thought, and I think I never want to be responsible for another person's success.
Yeah, you're done.
Outside of my
You're done.
kids.
You are signed off.
I am done.
Get it.
You know,
Get it.
it's well, I gotta see Citizen Ronan. My dad always talks about talent ceiling in sports. It's true. He was a pro level athlete. A natural talent has a ceiling, whereas someone in with little talent and work ethic will eclipse the natural talent. That's very true. It's okay. I'll be grumpy for you, says Mr. Monkey Boy. John, politics kill the spirit. Absolutely. As I often say, all horror is not political, but all politics is horror. In the office, in the art, in life itself. Admiral Wackass says, wish I could listen to people talking when I write, but it also degrades the process. Got to do ambient noise, no vocal, like instrumental. Gotcha, John. I knew what you meant there. Takes too much effort to tone out the distractions.
Well, you can't hear the characters if there's a bunch of other people talking over them.
John goes, sorry, Shanth, still no OnlyFans link for you. It happens. Listen, I understand. It's okay. Well, yeah, you can't, and I think it's if you've got an internal dialogue and you're listening to radio or someone talking. I mean, I can't imagine how distracting that can be. You know, when you're working. When I'm writing, I can't do that.
I can't. I like to visually write with certain songs, certain music that fits. But when it comes to dialogue, yeah, turn that off, man. I'm hanging with the characters for a minute. And I'm just sitting there listening, watching them do stuff, watching them talk, watching them work this stuff out. And who knows what's going to happen? They might take the story somewhere weird and interesting and awesome. I don't know. That's my job, though.
Yeah.
If I'm doing it right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's more interesting to let your characters off the leash a little more. I used to think writing was more like highly structured, like maybe my German engineering mind was going, you must set up the first act. Yeah, nein. And then I freaked out and I was like, dude, this is stupid. Why am I over processing this every little detail? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good in my outlines and all my little details, all the little ideas for one-liners. It all adds up to a cool story, but why not instead go easy on the plot? Let the characters drive it. Yeah. Know your characters so well. Way too well, you know? Know what their favorite kind of potato chip is. Know every weird detail about them. Know that one of them has a left shoulder that kind of cracks a little bit every now and then from an old injury.
Yeah.
Weird random things. And let them be the vector of the story. Let them be an arrowhead pushing their way through the conflict of your story and see what happens. Let them off the leash. That's what I've been doing lately. I'm always trying to change it up and grow as a writer. And I'm starting to realize being less meticulous can really help.
Absolutely.
Just relaxing a little and letting the art do the talking rather than just planning everything, you know?
Yep. And Shadowhawk Talks YouTube channel is there. John, thanks. I'm doing animation tests for a new CG project. The tests are on my Twitter, but we'll be releasing a trailer on my channel for later this year.
What's with all these animation projects? This is great.
I blame Narwhal.
There's Luke's. Does everybody see Luke's random saga? Narwhal's animation things coming, right? And I'm just there's all these other ones coming that I have, you know. Please post links.
Yeah. Hey, JV, good to see you, my friend. Yeah, it's this is the thing too about it, guys, is that this is what I would say to anybody interested in going into CG and you know, Vaughn was talking about so many people who are doing animation, so many people who are doing all of this different work that we've got creatively going on. The thing about it is that, you know, if you come into CG and you want to do stuff here, you're going to work harder than you've ever worked before in your life in terms of promoting it, keeping a channel going, which is one of the mail-in sort of, you know, rules of thumb, making sure I'm doing painting streams. I just did one recently where we're looking down on the palette because people had asked me for that. Yeah, the animation age of CG is booming, says Timmy Mello. Indeed. Pedro Ang is starting to do animation classes on YouTube soon with open source tools. Excellent. There's James Lee's Amazon page. Didn't say exactly when, though. Gotcha. Think after Tropical Magics is fulfilled. Yeah, you're going to learn a ton, and it's going to be a learning process. But what I would always say is that your success in Comicsgate, like your success everywhere, is never going to be the result of what you don't do. It's only going to be a result of the things that you do. And so that was one of those things that I really love about this place and love about how people are working, is that whatever's going on in front of the camera, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So we get into this habit of, you know, before we started the show today, you know, we watched the film, you know, we're ready to talk about this and deep dive into it. And that's it's not fun when you guys, we want you guys to have a good time. We want you guys to you're sharing your links. You want to know what's going on. And that's the fun. And look at this. When Sean started streaming, he was doing a stream a day for about 2 weeks straight. Yeah, that's true. I was. God, is that true?
Wow.
Terrifying.
You're a beast.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Did you ever think about your book being a traditional illustrated story, or was it always going to be a comic book? It says on the box that Comicsgate is comics, and I would have launched my 2 art books as Comicsgate books if, you know, I didn't feel like I needed to put a story together. But yeah, comics is one of my biggest passions. I love comics, but I would never have done this book if I didn't know it was meant to be a comic. And I've got illustrated novel ideas for pulp things, but for right now, if I do anything outside of this, it won't be animation. Watch me do animation or something, then that's how life always works. But outside of doing freelance stuff, I want to write books, and I want to write pulp books because that's what I love. And so I've got a story right now that I'm working on that I love the story, but it's Nosfero is 100% of my time outside of you know, the cover for Beckoned and things like that. But the story that I'll be, you know, checking in on whenever my hand's too freaking tired to draw is a story about God, so many different things. It ties into academia. It ties into someone who's later in life loses his wife.
So, okay. So are you doing a pulp story with like beautiful illustrations throughout the chapters?
I will have to. Yeah. I mean, it's
that would be so cool.
Yeah, I want to run it by at some point when I get, you know, to a decent point on it. I want to run it by, you know, Razorfist for sure, because he's been trying to do pulp stuff and things like that. But it's one of those things to where when it gets further along, I'm sure we'll talk about it. I don't have a single doubt in my mind, you know, because that's usually how it goes, right? When we have enough to show, we always throw that stuff around. Yeah, and thank you guys. And
sometimes we hold back a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let me call up your book here. Hang on a second.
Your boy. The Terror, baby. The Terror.
Terror in the Trenches, Volume 1. And then I want to call up Nosfero. And let me see if I can get that here, because I just want to show you guys where we are, because this is the thing when we talk about it. This is very much a world. Eric July is still undefeated as far as I'm concerned in the race of and the flex of nut up or shut up. He's doing everything, writing music, streaming. And that's, to me, that's the gold standard, you know, doing the best we can. But let's share Terror here. Hang on.
I don't have time to even make myself food, man. I just like shove something in my face, eat real quick over the sink, and then get to work on comics. All right.
And we announced
there's just so much to do.
A big breakthrough in terms of numbers. 75K has been passed, on our way to 76K. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. That's big stuff.
75K is amazing. That's better than I expected. I really wanted to get like 50K on this, and to make 70, it's just amazing. We took a Golden Age character. We made him new and exciting and badass again, and interesting. So I just can't wait for people to get their hands on this, man.
Absolutely.
Amazing art from Italian artist Monica McCagney and colorist Tiago Barca. It's a work of art. It's Bruce Timm on steroids. It looks like
you're never going to get
it's so much more adult than you're going to expect. And it's me kind of realizing the kind of writer I want to be. Monster MD is great, but it was only a stepping stone to this, I think. This was my next book after Monster MD. So I wrote this before even COVID hit. The script to this was done.
But I do want to point out, if I can
around.
find it in my, God Almighty, in my geriatricness. Where the hell is it? Where's the? Hold on a second.
We've sold some vials.
Where's? Oh, it's an add-on, right? The other book's an add-on, right?
Book?
Monster MD, you can get as an add-on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's
yes,
right.
Sir.
So
I should have put it as a tier, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of people have gotten it as an add-on.
Yeah, I would honestly, Vaughn. I mean, you might want to think about putting it as a tier.
Okay, I mean,
because I really think that it
but
would be great, just as a thought.
Okay.
You know. All right, so let me add. Now let's take a look at Nosfero. Boomerific. Yeah, listen, guys, we're boomerific. That's how that's how we roll, folks. So let me share this one right here, and I want to show you guys what you've done. Let me show you what you've done.
What you done, son?
Look at what you've done, folks.
Show me what
you guys.
done.
We talked about 30K,
29,
200, and if we get to 30K, and Hail Mighty Magic as well. I see a Hail chat,
Cheers.
Hail Mighty Magic.
Hail.
We said if we get there, we're going to be able to get Eric Weathers to do the lettering on this, and we are at 29,200 because of you amazing people putting this stuff out there. And I am confident we're going to get to 30K, and you guys are going to love this book. 9 more pages to go. We're putting stuff together, but you know what? I really do believe that, and thank you for that. I think this book is going to be freaking astounding, but I also know that where I'm at right now is a great position, but I think I was telling you, and I may have mentioned this on to Gabe the other day. There are those moments when you can tell that there's this massive wave coming. And when I started Nosfero, this is the thing, and yeah, it's CG all the way. Amen, man. It's one of those things I said, which, because we were talking about this on another stream. I sat down and prayed for a couple of things. Prayed for wisdom in making this leap. And then the other thing I said is, I want things to come at a pace that is, to come at the pace they're meant to come at. Don't want them to be rushed. Don't want, to.
Oh, you think I see. You think you have your hands on the steering wheel of life. You think you.
No, I don't. That was absolutely what the statement was. That I don't.
Yeah.
And it's the and what was so crazy about it is that thankfully for me is that I think that we are on track. I mean with the mail-in piece, with the Cyberfrog trading card, with all the stuff I've been doing. It's only moving forward. And I think when we get to the point where we wrap this thing up and I'm saying, hey, look, guys, get in or it's not happening, it's going to get even crazier. But right now, steady sales. Thank you guys for putting the word out. And I love it, man. It is the CGI Boomerific indeed. I think once people get Nosfero in their hands and see what you can do, you're going to take off. I have no doubt about that. And I will say guys.
Word of mouth. I think the comics world is going to be like, oh my dear Lord, this is a work of art that deserves all the awards. That's basically what's going to happen when Nosfero comes out. I'm not kidding you.
I think that this is the most in tune and connected with my work I've ever been. And there's certain times in life where I've been definitely points where you just know you're in the zone, and when you're not in the zone. And when I moved into CG, I did it with my eyes open. I knew that it was going to be, while I have this great audience and you guys are awesome that are here that know, see Comicsgate and you go check things out. Thank you. I appreciate it so much, man. But at the same time, I knew it's all on me to grow this channel. It's all on me to get the word out about my book. And I think that it's all about, I still write things down. I still watch streams over when I'm painting and try to look at things I could do better and setting up camera setups. But guys, we're here for you. We're here to entertain. And thank you for supporting our books.
Right.
We appreciate it, guys.
I can't do this without you guys. My whole life changed. I spend my life trying to be someone I'm not, with pretending to like people that I really don't like, trying to fit in a world that just loathes me more and more as the years go by. Actually, it's tough. I can't change that I'm white and straight. Whoops. And I can't change that. I'm getting older. I'm trying to like fit into this world that rejects me. And it's like, why give a shit about any of them or what they like or what they're into when what I like is badass and I could share it with these people and they actually like it. They actually support me. Almost every woman I dated, there was no support on comics. They thought it was a stupid waste of time and money and energy that I put myself into. And they didn't realize how important comics were to me. And screw them for that. Like, they're lost. They missed out because now here I am getting to make them. And I'm telling you, you guys are going to love what I make you. At least I like to think so. I'm here to entertain. I think I know what I'm doing here. I think you're going to enjoy the hell out of it. And if not, I'm having a damn fun time making them in it either way.
Well, you know, and it's and I would say this to all these guys. You know, when you see all these crazy folks like God bless them, like Yanzi, Andrea, and in my case, my wife, my wife. She I know you guys have seen her, you know, talk on stream and say hi Comicsgate and say hey to you guys. But one of the things that is really big is that she's known me since we met when she was, I think when she was 19 and I was 20. So we've been together for 26 years or so. And one of the things that was interesting to me about it is that she's watched me much like my friend, the groomsman who was on. And the thing about it is that, you know, she says to me, she comes over and she's like, this is the best stuff you're ever doing. Man, is that another painting you finished already? Is this the stuff? And God bless her, guys, have people around you like this and have this be the bar. You know, she comes over and she's like, I'm so proud of you.
Look to see if they support you or if they intentionally go out of the way to be contrarian to you. Pay attention, be sensitive to it, because you will support. I mean, this life is hell, man. It is trenches. And you need to find a trench partner to help you wade through the muck and mud of hell that is this life. And they need to help. If they're criticizing you and tripping you up the whole time and complaining, then you're not going to get through the trenches. Not going to make it. You need a good trench partner. So sounds like you found your early, dude. How'd you do that, you weirdo?
Well, here's the thing about it though, too, which is it's every single one of those things. How many of you guys, I'm sure some of you guys have seen Seinfeld, and I will tell you that this is one of the greatest episodes of Seinfeld.
Oh,
and it's an important one, and it's so many books cited, so many great books cited as being one of the most useful things you can do. And it's essentially the distillation of, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Where George Costanza decides that nothing in his life has worked. Absolutely nothing. So he realizes that he is the problem, which is a useful thing. And so he says, I'm just going to do the opposite of what I would do.
The complete opposite.
And I always say this to people that I wake up every day and I will tell you that there's work to do. There's things to do. Yeah. Oh God. There's things to do. There's so much work to do. But all of the big growth steps I've had and why things have felt so good and so balanced lately is because I've done a lot of A/B testing, which is this working right now? Do I feel like I should do this? Listen to this thing.
Should I do the opposite?
And if I've always done this, I will do the opposite. So when I sat down to do Nosfero, I go, I have all these great big epic stories and ideas and world building things. I don't really know what the story is. I said, screw it. No, write a story that goes from A to B, and all that really cool stuff will be there anyway. That's never been the problem.
Right.
Nosfero is the best thing I've ever done. It's just, and it's because I didn't.
It's the most true. You're being
it's
so
not planned
true to yourself.
You know, it's like I'm going to tell a great ripping yarn.
Yeah, you're just letting it out, man. It's been inside since forever. Since you're.
Yep. I asked out my wife. Here's some good advice for you guys in the chat. Here you go. I asked out my wife because I thought this is the first girl I've seen that I haven't said to myself, I'm going into that dumb place. I'm going to marry her. This is going to be the thing. And she looked at me and she was like going, I don't know if I could date that guy. I don't think he could be serious. And we both were so burnt out on trying to find the person that we thought we just, screw it. Let's try something different. And it was the person. So a lot of times there's this thing with YouTube when people, when people chase the algorithm, when people do this, it's very likely not going to make you more successful at YouTube, but it will definitely, if you don't enjoy chasing the algorithm, that is, if you love it, go with God. Awesome. But if you hate it, it will definitely make you miserable. So what I try to do is I try to stream and be positive about what I'm doing and enthusiastic because it's all I want to do. And it's how I really feel about these things. Yeah. It's not a character because I couldn't do it. You guys would have caught me by now. I've been streaming for 3 years. If I was, miserably angry about things and I wanted to tear shit down, I would have done it by now. And I like seeing other people succeed under their own steam. It makes me very proud of people, which is why I love Comicsgate. And it's why I try to walk the walk and make this shit happen. And if it takes me 6 hours to prep for a show or make thumbnails or videos for people, then that's what I'm going to do.
Shanth, you do great stuff. You put such great stuff out in the world. It only makes sense that it would come back to you. I mean, your intros that you do for different guests on Ethan's show are so hilarious. And you don't have to put in that extra stuff, but you always do. So thanks for that, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, and I did something that
Comicsgate needs that type of positivity and needs that type of guidance from you. It's so
guess whose
cool
intro I did this week?
Who? Oh, Dale Keown.
I did one for him actually, but that was a couple weeks ago. But I did or a week ago. But I did an intro that marked a huge step because people have been asking me to do this intro forever. Because I've done one for Phil Diaz, I've done one for Anna, of course, that Star Wars girl, one of my favorite ones. Done it for a lot of people outside of the Kings, people who just come on. Cecil, of course, a lot of people like that. This week, I finally found the idea and put the thing together, and I did my intro and sent it to Ethan. So that is something. Next time I'm on that show, if he even remembers to play it. But I said to myself, I've got to do this. I've got to tick that box off because it's fun. I work hard, and I finally had the idea. So
what's your intro? Do you want to play it for us?
No, it'll premiere there or not at all.
It's only going to premiere there. Okay,
yeah, that's right, man.
Oh man, I want to see. Okay, I want to see behind the curtain.
Oh yeah, well it's like
I gotta know what you did for yourself. I gotta know what you did for yourself.
That's how you do it.
Oh, well, I want to know what you would decide is your intro of all things.
Oh, it just makes me laugh. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's eagles on fire. No, it's nothing like that. So it's a phoenix. My dad grew up in
like an American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, none of that stuff.
No,
Mighty Magic. My dad grew up in communist Romania, and when I told him I want to draw for a living, he said I won't make any money, and that's what it is. Nice.
That's what they say in capital America too. So
yeah, laugh out loud self-portrait. It's good. It's got some. I mean, it's to the point for what the purpose of it is, but I won't give any more away. My grandfather was from the Ukraine, and when my dad told him he was going into insurance, he said, "Isn't that for people who can't find a job?" Well, listen, guys, it has been a blast. We have been here for 2 hours. My God, it goes by fast. And thank you guys for being in here. Make sure you hit the like on the way out. I'm going to play our theme song out. And thank you guys for talking about this great flick and hanging out in the chat. And Vaughn, thank you so much for being a kindred spirit in horror. And we will see you guys soon. Take care. Much love. Stay gold. Dallas, you got anything for me?
Oh, talking to me, kids. Oh, everybody out there, I appreciate you for tuning in to our little crazy horror shindig. We hope you had fun. We hope you learned some cool, crazy things about Hammer and all of its awesomeness. But there's always more horror to come. Did you have something planned for next week, Shanth?
No, I have no idea.
No idea, kids. So roll the dice. We'll be back within either next week or the week after, depending on how we roll. With new horror movies to go over. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
We will
see you guys. Yeah, I love it, man. Love it.
We all get a little mad sometimes. Haven't you? People all go mad in some places. They hate to even think about it.